I would like to give a bit more details and explanation about my demand, which may seem unusual, creative, and yet brilliant, of, of the organization's women to give me a blowjob at least 1 hour a week for several weeks, a very variable amount depending on what woman it is, depending on both how much I've been tortured for that woman and also whether she is human or not human, a more rare type of humanoid that is a lot more difficult to stumble upon. So it is 16 hours for Emma Watson, and 16 hours of blowjob totals like be total 16 hours. No matter how much you think about it, it's such a little and insignificant thing for all the insane, sadistic, and inhumane, cruel, sadistic torture that they made me undergo for Emma Watson. For several years, for over 3 years, to the point that I often screamed so hard that I would lose my voice and then I would be taken to a mental hospital against my will. And my family would fight with me over it because I screamed so hard. And I physically suffered so much. And sometimes I even began to feel as though my mind begins to crack. It was that bad, although it never really did. And I'm very happy that it didn't. And not to mention that before that happened, I, for about a year, was myself submissive to Emma Watson, and I would kiss their feet on the screen, on the computer screen, and I would express that if I met them, I would kiss their feet and stuff. And then I was like I was putting myself down in their favor to make them feel loved, not because I'm a masochist, but because I wanted them to feel loved so much that I would put myself down on my own, but then I was forced to be put down by a supernatural power, but by the torture of my body I was forced to be put down like an animal, tortured and humiliated, deprived out of my humanity, all for Emma Watson for more than 3 years. And what I'm asking of them, those mere 16 hours of a blowjob, it's such an insignificant thing compared to that, especially since I'm only asking for 1 hour per week. It's nothing. I mean, think about it. People work often a 40 hours per week full time job. And all I'm asking for is just 16 total hours of a blowjob, only 1 hour per week, as a compensation for all that suffering that I was made to endure. It's nothing. I mean, I believe that what I am giving here, this offer, it's such a generous fucking offer. I'm such a generous fucking person because it's really nothing, absolutely nothing compared to what was done to me. It's merely like my way of giving them a chance to show me goodwill, that they care, that they're saying that they don't want me to suffer, and they regret that I was treated that way, and they don't want to start a relationship with me from that position, from a position of my disadvantage in the way that I've been tortured and humiliated in their favor so much. And that's the reason I'm asking not because I want to get my dick sucked so much. I am talking genuinely here. Maybe I'd get pleasure out of this, but that's not the point. The point is, just like my body was tortured for them against my will, may they physically show submission to me using their body, using their mouth, and maybe hands too, but mainly their mouth, to compensate for that, so there wouldn't be a disadvantage on my end. You see, I could have asked for something different. I could have said that maybe they should also be tortured, so now it'd be equally. But I am not a cruel person and I am not a sadistic person. I am asking for something reasonable. For sexual submission, it is different. It, if they genuinely want to compensate with me and they care about me, they want me to be happy rather than being treated in a cruel and unfair manner, then it shouldn't be a problem for them to do it. They wouldn't suffer from doing it. Nor do I want a woman doing that to me, whether it's Emma Watson or some other woman, doing it like it's some form of punishment. I want them to give it to me willingly, so I'd be happy, so I would feel that I am cared for, that I am not beginning a relationship from a point of disadvantage but equality. And yes, it is equality. You think you're so submissive by blowing my cock for 16 hours. Try getting tortured around the clock and not even being allowed to sleep, even after taking high dosages of sleeping drugs, being tortured around the clock 24 hours a day for years. Even receiving a mental treatment against my will for over a year that 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 would make my mind go really numb. Try that. I think that it's a lot worse than blowing someone's cock for 16 hours, and you know what, and just making the person pleased physically, giving someone physical pleasure by submitting your own body. It's nothing. What I'm asking for, it's nothing. But mind you, that what I'm asking for is not just of a single Emma Watson, but every single Emma Watson that would like to be part of my life. What I'm saying is is the demand of 16 total hours of blowjob refers to every single Emma Watson that would like to interact with me in any way, and not just one for many. Not it's not that if one Emma Watson blows my cock for 16 hours total, then suddenly I would open myself up to all of them. No, every single one has to individually show that she cares and that she wants to start things from a position of equality. And no, giving me a vagina is not enough, because a vagina is mutual pleasure and it is not submission. It has to be done with the mouth. It's the only way that is submissive. That's for Emma Watson. And like I said 8 hours for any other woman, because I was tortured for all of the organizations women, which might as well be all the women on this planet, especially if they're pretty and young. And only 4 hours for humanoid, elf, and aliens, because while I was not tortured for them directly, I have been indirectly, because if I was tortured directly for Emma Watson and other human women, then it would mean that I would be left with no choice but to seek myself aliens and elves, no matter how I would do that. Therefore, indirectly, I was tortured for them also. And especially if they are introduced to me through the organization. And like I said, every single one of them has to do it with a good intention in their heart. If they do it like it's some form of punishment, then I would not like that and I would refuse their companionship. They have to mean well and they have to understand why I'm asking for this. They have to understand what I went through and that I was put down for them like some sort of an animal, like some sort of a lower life, like a slave or something. And physically abused, tortured for years. So we cannot start a relationship from a position of equality unless they show some goodwill in the form of physical submission to me. And this is the type of physical submission that I'm asking for, the submission of the body using their mouth. I am not asking for their suffering, nor she should accept, nor would she should see it as suffering if she truly understands what is going on and she has a good will in her heart. So she has to mean it and not see it as some kind of punishment, and obviously not do it in a lazy way, but actually try to provide me with pleasure. And I very much hope that you don't see me as this really opportunistic person who just want to exploit the situation to be pleased sexually, or to have his dick sucked rather. You see, I could care less about receiving sexual pleasure because I'd receive it one way or another, and I'd wank if I have to, and I'd watch porn, and I'd still be happy. I could really care less about receiving any form of sexual pleasure from a woman. Trust me that this is not the point, not the reason of why I am doing this. And nor the prestige of having my dick sucked, which actually lots of people experience, and not the idea of having my dick sucked by a celebrity, especially since a fake celebrity. There are many Emma Watsons. It's not even a real person to begin with. And what I would like to say that if that's what it really was about receiving sexual pleasure and having my dick sucked, trust me that I'm a really patient person with everything, my training, my success, becoming rich, even becoming young, everything. I know that success takes time, and I realize that in the future all of my sexual experiences, and not just receiving oral sex, they will be very pleasurable, especially because I am going to become really great and very desirable by many women, and I admit women of the very highest level. So I trust me that this is not what it is about. It is about, that they show that they care and they understand, and they would compensate for how I was treated by doing that. So it starts from a position of equality.